What's up? Welcome to another episode of Trash Talk Podcast. Got some great Hearthstone content for you today. Fun little quiz at the side in the halftime show. But let's get right into it. JJ, how are you doing and what do we got?
I'm doing fine, and the first topic is just Joan discussing the Hearthstone Hall of Fame. One focus being the idea that has been thrown around before about restocking the classic packs to, first of all, get the pull chances equal for every class, and also to not have as many cards missing from the packs. And I guess another thing we can talk about, if that's not enough, is cards that we would like to see go into the Hall of Fame.
Or come out of the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, that would kind of coincide with the first one, but yes.
It's our show, we can do it, whatever we want to do, so cards can come out of the Hall of Fame if we want them to.
Of course.
So you were a big proponent of the new cards to the classic set?
Yeah.
Sort of idea? Explain that and why.
Well, so the idea is just that they take cards that are currently, or by the next rotation they probably will do it, not in standard, and will add them to be able to be pulled from classic packs, so that the number of cards that you can pull from classic packs doesn't shrink further, because the more cards that will be adding to the Hall of Fame, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah.
And you always want to be able to pull cards from it, of course, and also have a variety of cards in there. You want to have the same amount of cards for every class in there, you know.
Well, yeah, so there's some classes that have less cards in the classic?
Yeah, I think primarily Mage, because they've had 2 or 3 cards that are in the Hall of Fame now. There's definitely, there's Ice Block, there is Ice Lance.
Ice Lance is yes.
And that might actually be it, but the other classes only got no more than one. Some of them don't have any.
So, do you think that's a big deal? Because, like, there's so many cards in Classic.
Well, yeah, but...
You think that's really a big deal?
Well, currently it isn't as big of a deal. But the idea being that they're going to introduce more and more cards into the Hall of Fame, and obviously it's only going to be classic cards because anything else rotates out anyways.
But only once a year, though. And they drop, like, 2 or 3 cards in the Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, that's going to add up over
Most
time.
of which neutral, too.
It's going to add up, man.
Yeah, it's going to add up in, like, 1,000 years. But is that like a big problem? Because you can buy classic packs all the time, so most people who buy a lot of packs will have the classic cards anyway. Like I think a lot of people will still buy a lot of classic packs once they got their classic cards.
Well, I mean, I've heard that they have the best legendary pull odds, so that's an argument. But I still think it's a nice thing to do, and it allows them, on top of fixing the problems that I just mentioned, which arguably is a more important point, is that it allows them to introduce some more cards back into the game to allow for some more varied deck building potentially by adding in cards that currently aren't playable to be playable again for the foreseeable future.
So you want it to be completely new cards, or you want it to be Hall of Fame cards being back into the standard, or you want it to be expansion cards going to Classic?
Well, so, of course, completely new cards is always a nice idea, but for discussion's sake, it's not really practical.
But in that case, it wouldn't really be the classic set anymore, right?
No, but you could rename it. It could be like the standard set or something like that, or and also
foundational set.
The idea is that you can reintroduce expansion cards, which then again would be comparatively classic, because they would have been at the very least like a year older than whatever set they were introducing at the point when they're doing it. Of course, we can talk about the ideas behind why it should be done all day long. The more interesting question is probably what cards would we like to see being introduced into the classic set.
You said Whizbang.
You did mention Whizbang before. I said it's a good idea.
I've seen a lot of people actually already petitioning for that.
Of course, that's a bit problematic if they were going to do it with the next standard rotation, because it technically is still in standard anyways. But it's definitely a good idea. I was actually thinking about one card. You said taking cards out of the Hall of Fame.
Reggie.
He's pretty strong, though, which is kind of the point that they're trying to prevent.
Yeah, aren't the Hall of Fame cards all in there because they're pretty strong?
Yes. I actually had an idea for a card that might have been a bit of overreaction to put into the Hall of Fame.
Cold Light.
No, Icelands.
Iceland?
So, they could have just applied one little fix to it that could have completely prevented from going to the Hall of Fame. Just say minion instead of character.
Okay.
Deal freeze a minion if it's already frozen. Deal 4 damage to it. Done.
Okay.
Because the problem with Ice Lance was that you could for 3 mana you could frostbolt Ice Lance's face or something like that.
Yeah.
You could put spell damage on there, it gets crazy.
That's tough.
Or you double Ice Lance on top of a frostbolt or something. If it can only hit minions, it's still useful as a control tool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not gonna be as pressing to the face,
which
is what its main problem was. So I think that could be easily fixed.
I'm cool with Ice Lance being in the Hall of Fame. I'd probably rather have a Cold Light back. I never played with Reggie in the standard or anything. Yes. I haven't, so I don't really know that much about him. I know he's pretty good. I like the Hero Power, the Quest Warrior, pretty good. I kind of like Cold Lights. Kind of like my Cold Lights, man. Because I do like the mill deck archetype variant.
Yes.
So Cold Lights are pretty good.
Man. The mill deck is fun to play. It's not necessarily fun to play against, which is, I guess...
is it fun to play against Pally all the time?
Actually, it's one of my favorite matchups, yeah.
No. No.
I like facing Pally because I need to get better at facing them anyways. Yeah. Because currently my win rate against them with my auto is about 50%, which is way above average, but I of course need to be able to beat them more than 50%.
It's not that fun either. So I kind of want, because there's a full archetype, right? There's a full idea of how to play the game.
Well, yeah, so one thing that's always pointed at for cards being unfun to play against is always interactivity, which is the idea that your opponent plays the card and you're down for the Quest Mage. It's like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
For Cold Light, it's a similar thing where you can try playing around it, but if your opponent plays Cold Light, your opponent plays Cold Light.
Yeah, but
Shadow Step, Cold Light, Shadow Step, Cold Light. It's 6 cards.
That doesn't necessarily kill you or anything.
No, but it overdraws their important cards.
Not always. If you're playing Odd Play, you don't give a shit. Thanks for filling up my hand. But in the Quest Mage, no matter what you do, no matter what you play, you were done for.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Yeah, Antonidas should probably go.
That is fair.
To the Hall.
I would support that, definitely.
Antonidas should probably... Then, of course, Mage would then probably need another Classic Legendary. Right?
Exactly, which is where the restocking comes in, because that would be the first time that a Classic Legendary has been removed.
A class Legendary.
A Class Legendary has been removed.
Class Legendary.
Yeah, exactly. And
Antonidas needs to go.
Antonidas, of course, yeah. Which would then bring up the question, what card should Mage get instead?
What card should Mage get instead? To stick around? Yeah. Like, maybe one of the ones that are currently in standard or have been released with expansions. Maybe a Syndragosa.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Maybe a Syndragosa.
If you specifically wanted to introduce something weak, but still maybe kind of fun, you could put Toki. But of course, that doesn't make anyone run Toki.
Yeah.
So that's
probably not Toki.
Always the tough thing to fiddle around with when you're trying to restock the thing is that you want to get cards that aren't as strong as the ones you're replacing, obviously. But you also want to keep cards that are still somewhat playable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. I have thought about this before. But that was also a few weeks ago.
What was that?
Which means, well, what cards to put. And so, I don't necessarily remember all the details. There's definitely a few cards that will be fun to have. Thorison is definitely a good one.
Goes with the Reggie.
The question is, does he limit the design space too much in terms of high power cards?
I'm not sure.
Because if you're looking at what's currently going on, like the Mechathune decks, when they are running Galvanizers to reduce the Mechathune to be able to Mechathune, Bloodbloom, Cataclysm in the same turn, for example.
It's not like Mechathune is killing it.
Well, no, but such decks, such combo-oriented decks, would become stronger if you could just play Thorison to reduce everything in your hand by one.
Of course.
So, you always want to make sure to not make a deck too strong.
Yeah.
Of course,
the combos is that which is the most volatile, I think, in being made way too strong or way too weak.
Yeah, because
and Antonidas is on that spectrum too.
Because the problem with the combo decks is if you can reliably pull it off, it's overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't, then it's a risk factor. But, of course, because most of those combo decks are laid out at just straight up killing you, it's tough if they get too strong, because, yeah. So, of course, cards that you could put in there at any time would be stuff like Maxa or something where it's just like, oh yeah, this card is but it's there.
That's not a class legendary. That's a neutral one.
That would have been a neutral one as a Thorson.
Yes. So I thought you wanted to make that the mage legendary.
No. For the mage legendary, I think Cinderghost is a good idea.
Cinderghost might be.
It's a good card. And so next it can be a great card, but generally it's a good card. It's not going to be overpowered. It's not going to produce any crazy combos.
Exactly. It's not going to do anything bullshitty.
It has some value to it. You could run it in any given mage deck except for tempo. Like anything that sticks around for a bit, you can play it for value.
It's good every now and again. So that's how those legends should work. Like Velen, it's good every now and again. Or Grom, this is good every now and again. Alak here they'll use them. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes you get the really shitty ones too. Maybe you should do something about that. Like, you got your Jiraxes and your Scenarios that never see play ever.
Yeah.
So those are they're kind of weak sauce. And then you have more solid ones. Like, Tyrion Fordring is just good.
That's true.
Tyrion Fordring won't ever be a bad card. Like, the only deck it doesn't go with is Odd Pally, because it's not odd. And so then you'll find ways to get him off your Stonehill.
Yeah, so that's always the thing, like, a lot of the high-costed cards that are just generally good can basically go in any deck that isn't so aggressive that it won't get to the mana count where it can use it.
I'm not saying that Odd Pally would play Tyrion. It probably wouldn't if it could.
I mean, Murloc Paladin doesn't.
Exactly. They'll play Sunkeeper, but that's a whole other story. Sunkeeper is also really strong, but that's going to rotate out, so don't need to worry about that.
So,
speaking of the combo ones, though, because we said those are the most volatile, I have a feeling that a card that might rotate out is Malagos.
That seems like
I feel like if one of them rotates out, it's Malagos.
That's something that could actually happen, yeah.
That's actually a shame. I don't want Malagos to go. It's probably the last dragon that I like from the dragon aspects that I really want to go. I'd much rather see Alexstrasza just leave.
I wouldn't have a problem with Alexstrasza leaving either. I don't think I think the last dragon aspect to have a chance of leaving is Nosdormu.
Yeah, probably no good with that. They don't do nothing. I don't think they're going to retire Deathwing because it's too iconic.
Yeah, it's also not
that
incredibly strong because it gets rid of your entire hand.
Exactly.
You have a 12/12 and your opponent has a handful of stuff to react to it. Yeah. It's like, okay, fair enough.
It's good for summer to pull it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Dragon Hatcher, but it's never oppressive. And Malagos with the spell damage, because it's a combo piece, it's the one that's most volatile to stack to ridiculous levels.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at certain, like, Malagos Valen combinations, it gets ridiculous fast.
Or just a druid with the Kobold Illusion.
The druid where you can get copies
you just got Malagos, which is, in the original, +5 spell damage, really, really good. You play Malagos and whatever, like a Spirit Lash, or just any spell that'll do a lot of damage. Cool. And then you need to take care of the Malagos. But then you get Illusionist, and then they'll introduce the Florist, Dreampearl Florist.
Yes.
And they'll introduce Floop. And those cards get so much stronger because
they don't all work together, but yeah, sure.
No, they don't.
Illusionist is a roll card.
Illusions is a roll card, yes.
So that wouldn't, but yeah.
You would play that in
Rogue.
In Rogue, yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're naming cards off that in some one deck you're calling out two different decks.
But that's the ones that make Malagos so much fun.
Also, the idea that there is two deck archetypes named after one card tells you that that's a strong card.
Yeah, exactly. Even though there's a lot of Mecha'thuns too.
Yes.
There was also a lot of Cthulhu's back in the day. But
that's all more okay because it's not a classic card and it's gonna leave the standard at some point.
That's right. And Mecha'thun is actually pretty tough.
Talking about cards that we could add, we currently have 2 legends from the classic pack that don't exist anymore because of the Hall of Fame, which will be Ragnaros and Sylvanas.
Yeah.
One thing that I've thought about for replacements, actually, is a bit insane, but it's also a fun card, so hey, Yogg's are on.
Yogg back there? You bring Yogg back? Come on. And Shutterwalk?
Well, first of all, there's currently no spot to put the walk. Because there's no Shaman Legendary.
We'll make him a neutral card.
Oh god, please don't.
Oh yeah. Oh, we do. The walk a neutral card? That would be pretty good.
I was about to say there's probably a lot of other classes that can make very good use of that.
That's way too stuff.
No, but I mean, Yogg, after they nerfed it for the first time, where it too strong itself gets rid of the effect. It's not that seen any competitive play, but of course, you know, streamers who do it for the memes or just people who play some casual games, they generally enjoy having Yogg every now and again, and again, it's not going to break anything, but it's a fun card to have.
But then again, you might as well play Wild, because that's what Yogg is, right? Yogg is a card that's made for Wild, I feel like.
Yeah.
For that, like, that side of things. I'd want Alexstrasza to leave over all the other Dragon aspects, but Yogg, I don't necessarily need to come back. I never played him.
So, what cards would you want to have in the Classics set out of the expansions?
Oh, the Walk. Well, let's think about neutral ones mostly, right?
I mean,
I'm assuming.
It's basically the idea is primarily the cards that are currently missing, so
Dirty Rat. I want Dirty Rat. Because that always puts a cap on combos forever.
Do we currently have an epic? Yeah, the giant, right? The mountain giant is an epic, right? Is it?
Mountain giant is an epic, yeah.
Yeah, so I was, because Dirty Rat is also an epic, right?
Yes. Because
we need to have an open slot theoretically for it.
So you want to put mountain giants away?
Not molten giants. What are they?
Oh, molten giants. Okay,
sorry.
Yeah.
They because they're gone. They're in the.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Okay.
Because the slots we currently have are, we have definitely common rares with Cold Light. We have common epics with the molten giant. We have common legendaries with Ragnaros and Sylvanas.
We're talking about common legendaries, neutral, right? You said common legendaries, neutral legendaries.
I said common for all of them, didn't I?
You said common for all of them.
Yeah. So neutral. Sorry.
Yes. Correct.
All classes have those in common. Anyways. So neutral legend, neutral epic, neutral rare. I knew it sounded kind of wrong.
Yeah, give me Dirty Rat.
And we got, of course, we got a common mage card. We got a epic mage card. We got a common rogue card, I believe. Yeah, so we got a few spots there to fill.
You know what? Let's pick this discussion up again after the halftime show because we've got more Hearthstone debate to go. But let's get into the halftime show first.
Sure.
What do we got?
You wanted to bring up a song versus for me is
exactly.
How I understand.
So we're playing song versus again, and you should by now know how this works. I'm gonna name 2 songs, maybe 3 songs if they fit thematically, but most probably 2 songs because it's a versus. And then we're gonna debate on which one's better. And I'm probably gonna try to do more of the more recent songs, so the ones that we've both kind of gotten into more recently, or at least I have. Maybe you did too. So let's go with "To France" by Mike Oldfield. First of all,
that's a good song.
That's a good song, right? Versus "Summer Sun" by Texas.
Oh, that's also a good song.
That's also a good song. So we got a good match out there. What are we going with?
Oh boy. Both the songs very good.
Classics.
Very well, yeah, of course, classic, and also I feel like very high energy comparatively. So they are somewhat easy to compare. This is one of those where I can't say that I will make the same call in a month, but you know what? I'm gonna say "To France."
I'm also gonna say "To France." Yeah, it's probably better.
For all of those, like, I'm not gonna guarantee that I make the same call in.
Okay, here's the next one. It's "I Love Rock and Roll" by Joan Jett versus "I Pledge Allegiance to the State of Rock and Roll" by Kiss. The common factor being the words "rock and roll" in the song title.
I pledge allegiance to the state of rock and roll, or I love rock and roll.
That is correct. Which one? Fun fact, we had a professor in college. His phone went off, like, during lecture, 500 people in the building, and I Love Rock and Roll is his ringtone. And it's blasted throughout the entire lecture. Dude is like 60 years old.
Nice!
Greatest moment of the semester.
I'm gonna say I Love Rock and Roll.
Really?
Yes.
No. Other way around. No dice. I don't like... See, I do like rock and roll, but I actually do love rock and roll, but I love rock and roll. I don't like the song that much, man. It's not that good of a song. And, I mean, you know how I think about Kiss. It's decent.
Yes.
They're alright. They're mediocre. And, there isn't that many songs, but this is one of the better ones. But it's better than I Love Rock and Roll. I'm sorry, it really is. The Unforgiven versus Enter Sandman.
The Unforgiven.
That was quick.
Yeah, because I've thought about that before.
Oh. Ranking the Metallica song?
I knew the Enter Sandman longer. Mm-hmm. And they're both similar in a lot of ways. I mean, they are the same band after all. They both have, like, strong guitars in it. They have decent vocals. You know, it's Metallica. Yeah. I actually like the Unforgiven better, yeah.
I like them both, but I'm not gonna make a call here. Metallica is also one of those bands. Kind of like Kiss. Metallica is better than Kiss, but
I would agree.
It's
Metallica is better than Kiss.
It's also not a top 5 band, so it's kind of in there.
I would also agree with that.
Okay, let's go. All for One by Blackmore's Night versus Time Waits for No One by The Graces.
I'm not too horribly familiar with either song.
Really?
I've definitely heard both of them before multiple times, but I'm not too hugely familiar.
They're kind of new, both kind of new songs.
Yeah, I'm not really willing to make a call right now without.
Okay, I'm going All for One. By the way, I like that a lot. I like that quite a lot better. Let's this time go with let's go with We Built This City.
Yes.
A Starship. Versus Promises, Promises by Nicholas Kershaw. You're making this tougher than it needs to be.
Okay, first of all, those songs are harder to compare because previously I called out how
different songs.
Very similar certain songs were. Those two are very different songs. I think they're both great songs.
Yep.
Oh god. I'm tempted to on the spot say We Built the City, but again, because it's so different, it's hard to
say We Built This City.
Because it's so different, it's hard to compare them on the spot. But
okay,
yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree probably. Got 3 Coldplay songs. That's a 3-way now. It's Paradise, it's Viva La Vida, and it's Charlie Brown. What are you rocking? Those ones are tough. I'm telling you that right now.
It's probably Charlie Brown.
Really, Charlie Brown? They're all really good. See, Coldplay is a good band. If you heard it here first, people, Coldplay's pretty good.
Yeah,
they're pretty good. They're probably you know how I've always grouped this one category of bands that has that kind of remind me of each other, and I interchanged them a lot back in the day, which was Coldplay, Linkin Park, Nickelback, and Green Day. Like they're all in there.
Coldplay's very different from those.
For me, those were like 4 types of, like 4 varieties of the same thing, more or less.
I feel like Coldplay is the most different from those, but yeah.
And I would have always ranked Green Day, and then Coldplay, and then probably Nickelback, and then Linkin Park in that order.
Ooh.
Maybe exchange the bottom 2, but you know what? Coldplay's really good. I'm not sure if Coldplay is better than Green Day. It might
also be Paris. I'm honestly it's
tough, right? Yeah, and those are really good. I like Viva La Vida though. You're not that high on it?
It's out of those 3. I would argue it's the worst of those 3, but it's still a good song.
Yeah.
I would also like to bring up X and Y. It's a really good one.
Okay, I need to check that. I don't know what that is. Okay, let's go with Waterloo.
Yes.
By ABBA versus Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple.
The connection being water in the name.
Maybe.
Again, very very different songs, both completely very iconic songs. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it's Waterloo.
Yeah, of course it's Waterloo. What do you think it was going to be? I mean, yeah, it's obviously Waterloo. I think that's...
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the one that would have, like, if you talk about iconic songs, it wouldn't have been the first to come to mind, but it's definitely, I would say it's a better song, yeah.
Okay, last one. We got Down Under by Men at Work versus South Australia by The Pogues. The reference here... Wow, that was quick. The reference here is we're talking about the glorious country of New England, which is Australia.
Wait, there already is a New England.
But it's not a country.
It's not a country.
It's not a country, though. It's just a bunch of states grouped together with a... You know, got one big city in there and a good football coach. Nothing else. Bunch of French people and some...
They used to have a good quarterback in there.
They still have...
Then they traded him away.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, they used to have this pretty good quarterback by the name of Jimmy, but now they settled for this guy that goes by the name of Tom. I don't know why they have some. They have Ivy League colleges though, so let's not knock them to. No, Australia. This one's a tough call too. I kind of like both of those songs. Not top 10 songs by any means.
Yeah, I'm just really big on the Pogues.
Both kind of good. Pogues are pretty good. They're from Ireland, singing about Australia, they're from Ireland, they got a song about Oz, there's several songs about Oz, there's one about, like, Turkey, there's one about, New York, they're singing about the entire world. I think, in Segment of Calendar, they mentioned, like, 5 different European cities or something crazy like that.
Okay.
So, they've been places, apparently, or at least they sing about places.
The European cities is not that big of a deal because, you know, they're from Europe, and saying that you've been to a different European city in a different country is about as impressive as saying, from the United States perspective, you've been in a different state.
Yeah, but it's not like...
Because that's how the size thing works.
Yeah, but with those guys, it's not like where all the songs have a specific certain, like, overarching theme to them. No. When they tell a life story or something, it's like always different. Once it's an Australian soldier in World War One. Then it's a dude who fled with the potato blight to America, or from a war or whatever. And then it's the dude who worked on a railway in England, right? It's always different. And it's some drunk bastard from I don't know where. Well, they're all typically drunk bastards. But that's like
that's what the Irish know.
Yeah, exactly. That's a variety kind of there, but it's always cool because I like the historical references. Okay, so that's all the songs that I got. What do we got, man?
Fact of the week.
Okay. I know this one by heart, but I'm looking it up anyway just to make sure.
Fair enough. Then I shall start. Mm-hmm. My fact of the week is that multitasking is kind of a myth. You know, it's actually. There is no such thing as true multitasking, at least not in the human brain, which is, of course, what it's usually referring to. There is only fast task switching, where your brain switches between doing one thing and then the other. Coincidentally, single-core processors have the same thing, where they can't run 2 programs simultaneously. Mm-hmm. They will always load one into the processor, run it for a few cycles, and then load a different one in.
Alright.
So if your computer is running multiple programs simultaneously and it only has one processor core, that means it's actually switching between all the stuff so fast that you as a human would think it's simultaneously, but it actually isn't.
But it's not. Alright.
So, human brains, single core processors, no multitasking.
That's a really good fact of the week, man.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time picking that. But it was worth it. It was a really good fact of the week. Here's another fact of the week. Have you heard of the United States of America?
Yeah, I'm tangentially familiar.
Okay, so there's 50 states, right?
Yes, there is.
So can you give me an estimated an educated estimate on who in 39 of those 50 states the highest paid public employee is?
In 39 out of 50 states.
39 out of 50 United States. The highest paid public employee.
So you're saying that it's like a position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, oh yeah, the most paid person out of those 39 states.
I'm just give you an example. Like in some states, it's like the like principal of a huge college, or another one, it's a like super like whatever surgeon, physician, whatever.
Oh, so just you're not necessarily searching for like a specific position, but just for,
I'm searching for a specific position.
Searching for.
Well, yeah, a job, right? Yeah, of course.
Job. I was thinking at first, like, oh yeah, like governor or something like that.
No.
But it could also very much be the highest...
Not even close with the politics. I don't think it's politician in any state.
Yeah, of course, if we're talking about any jobs, fair enough. I thought it was something that was specific to this, specifically related to the state intrinsically, but the highest paid in 39 is like a CEO.
Well, wouldn't necessarily be a public official if it's in the business. Not the public official if it's in the business.
Well, neither would be like a doctor or something.
Doctor's a public employee. Right? Yeah. Doctor counts. Like surgeon, that counts. But
okay, fair enough.
The highest paid public employee in 39 out of 50 states is either a college football or basketball coach.
Of course.
There's a fact for you there. And of course, the NFL doesn't count, right? Or the NBA.
Yeah, because it's all pros.
Because they're pros. But you got people like Jim Harbaugh, right? He's like, I think he's making money in the NCAA more now than he made in the NFL or something. He's coaching for Michigan. And he used to be coach for the 49ers. And he was pretty good. He made the Super Bowl and all. And he actually left and went to college now. He makes like several millions a year, while the players make nothing. Nothing.
That's how they can finance the coaches.
Exactly.
And not paying the players.
Because you know how big. Okay, quick side note, right? You know how big of a business collegiate sports is? It's $1 billion business, and the players don't see a dime until they go pro.
They usually get scholarships at the very least.
Well, yeah, they get scholarships, but come on.
Which, knowing how expensive education is in America, that is at least something.
But these people are putting their lives on the line, man. They are in for every single purpose, they are like pro athletes, except that they're not making a dime.
Except that they're not actually pro.
Dude, yeah, they get scholarships, but then like you've got dudes on campus, right? You got people stealing from chow hall because they can't afford enough food. They're athletes, man. They're trying to eat right, eat a lot of food, pack on a lot of muscle. They can't afford it. You got people stealing from the campus cafeteria. You got people selling their merchandise illegally, man. Football players be selling their cleats and their practice shirts. Like they'll be signing them and selling them online, which they're not allowed to do. But they don't make no money because they got like $600 a month to deal with as a grown ass man. And okay, I don't know if they probably paying rent themselves too. And come on, man. I know you don't want to be giving like 18-year-olds millions of dollars necessarily, but come on, they're basically pro athletes. And coaches, in college, they're the richest public officials in almost every state. So there you go. Rant is over. Got a second topic.
We're still talking about Hearthstone, aren't we?
Yeah, we're still talking about Hearthstone. So let's pick that up right again because we're in a Hearthstone mood right now. Boomsday is still relatively fresh in the minds. Yeah,
I mean, it's been like a good week.
Yeah, so new standard, not a new standard rotation, new expansion, but ideas about standard rotation. So another card I've talked about before, and I said that I need to definitely go and disappear is Pyroblast.
Yeah, and that's another one.
And Fireball the same note, but let's go with Pyroblast.
I think Pyroblast we can get a lot of people to agree on. Yeah. It's still a very strong card. It's a good finisher for a game. It's not the most explosive finisher, but
Pyroblast is such bull.
It is very strong.
It's really bullshit. Pyroblast needs to get out of there. The thing is that, or the problem is, like you've noticed a lot of these cards are mage cards.
Yes.
And the problem is that just the classic mage cards are so strong that those are always the ones that bring out the problems. Which is also the reason why mage never gets good stuff in expansions.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a lot of mage decks, they'll be primarily running classic cards in a lot of
mage
stuff.
Does not change. It's like war. Doesn't change. Never changes.
I mean, one of the most popular mage decks still to this day is Tempo Mage.
Yeah. Pyroblast, Fireball, smack him in the face. Sorceress, smack him. Just smack him. So, no. Pyroblast needs to go, I think. Fireball, I think we can work with. If you want to keep it as but the thing is how you do that. So the way it is right now, pretty strong.
I don't think a Fireball is inherently problematic.
Fireball's really, really strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good card, of course, but I don't think it's necessarily too strong. It's not unbalanced or anything.
I think it's pretty strong. It's slightly... Like, there should be a tweak to it that's less severe than just making it deal less damage or making it cost more.
How do you do that, then?
That's the question, right? What do you do to such a simple card?
I mean, one thing you can always do, but I don't think is necessarily a good idea for Fireball, is that it can't target heroes as a deal to a minion. But that's
probably too. That's already probably too much.
I was about to say that's not appropriate for Fireball. You can do that kind of stuff, as I said, with like Ice Lance, where it's used to deal face damage, but it's more intended for a control situation. So you adjust it accordingly, so it only works in control. There
needs to be a slight downside. Maybe something like deal 6 and 1 to yourself.
It doesn't seem very mage-like necessarily.
I know it doesn't, but that's I'm just thinking about how you could do that.
And it doesn't solve anything. So if your problem is that mage is too aggressive with its spells, then that doesn't help you, because aggressive decks generally don't care about taking damage as much. If your problem is that it can kill minions too easily, I don't think there's anything we can really do about it. And if it's being too aggressive to face, you have to remove some of their spells or adjust them so that they can't hit face anymore, which we're doing by removing in the past Ice Lance and in the future potentially Pyroblast.
Oh, hopefully. I need Pyroblast like I need a hole in my head. But
actually, talking about pyro things and Hall of Fame stuff, that would also be another candidate for the if we need a mage legend to refill the classic packs. Pyros.
Oh, Pyros. You know what? Pyros would be also a good one, along with Cindergosa. That's correct. I'd actually go for that, because it's not too terribly good.
And one thing that's always nice if you put stuff back into Classic is to put tribal cards in there for the tribes that have been introduced retroactively, like mechs and elementals.
Pyros is elemental.
Exactly, because you're not gonna be able to build on elementals as much in the future if you don't constantly introduce new ones to keep them in standard. So if you're putting some more back into Classic, that's gonna be a thing. Because we have like 2 Classic mechs? 3?
Yeah, not that many.
And then there's like 2 that just happen to be in standard right now, and then there is the Doomsday.
Yeah.
So once the Doomsday rotates out, there's gonna be virtually no mechs again. Which is why they had to build completely new mech synergies in Doomsday.
Unless they bring more mechs.
So that's also another thing that you could potentially put, if you wanted to put cards back into Classic, you could put some more mechs in there, for example, so that you have a stronger basis for if you want to build on them again in the future.
Yeah, Pyros is a good idea. And Max, never Maxi. I'm cool with that. Pyroblast needs to go. Fireball. Fireball is an interesting one to try to really make acceptable. So it needs to have a downside to it, but if you could do something like it stays the way it is, and 2 turns down the line you overload 1. Just some of that severity. Just a little bit, just small tiny bit.
That's again.
Or you can only play this if you have at least 3 cards in your hand. Or 2 cards in your hand. If deal 6 damage, if this is the only card in your hand, deal 3. All 4. Yeah, all 4. You can do that with Pyroblast. Deal 10 mana, deal 10. If you have less than 3 cards in your hand, deal 5. Or deal 6. Because that's where most of the Pyroblast and Fireball and bullshit comes up, right?
Top decking and then winning.
Exactly. So you don't want none of that.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. If you wanted to do something like that, I feel like you would have to kind of design the whole idea of how the mage works as a class identity from the ground up again. Right. Because every class is a class identity. For Warlock, it's exchanging certain resources like killing your own minions or spending health to gain effects. For Shaman, it's overloading. For Paladin, it's the dudes. For Mage, it's pretty straightforward. It's primarily just spells that deal damage.
Yeah.
So if what you're suggesting, then you would have to be maybe all fire spells for Mage have a downside if it's the only card or something like that. But
keep Fireball and Pyroblast the way they are, but you can't play them the first turn you drew them.
So, stuff like that, first of all, goes kind of counter to what they're currently doing with stuff like Luna, but of course it's a very specific thing. Stuff like that, first of all, I think it's maybe not necessary, but I can see the idea, and that could potentially make the mage test also more interesting when you're adding a specific mechanic that only exists for mage to some of their cards.
Yeah.
That make them overall a bit weaker, so you can introduce stronger cards in the expansions and make them more expansion oriented, as a lot of other classes are.
Because mage is so strong in the classic, and then other classes that aren't that good in the classic, they'll continuously get pretty powerful stuff in expansions.
You could also maybe tie it in some way to the hero power, where it's like the fire spells are basically dormant until you use your hero power once or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe
something like deal this much damage, but the best you can do is set your opponent's health to 2. Like, you draw Pyroblast, okay, deal 10, unless it'll kill your opponent. In that case, set his health to 2.
No. That's, first of all, rather complicated.
I know.
I don't think that's a smooth way to word it on the card. Mm-hmm. And second of all, if you set them to 2, that's technically different from dealing damage, which makes certain interactions...
Well, only deal as much damage that he will...
Makes the wording even more complicated.
I know.
If anything, I can see the idea where it's like, under certain conditions, deal less damage, like to a specific number down, or, like you said, where it's like 3 if it's the only card, or something that you said where it's like, it takes a turn for it to be ready.
Yeah.
That would, of course, be interesting in 2 ways, because first of all, it gives you some design space that hasn't really been explored too much yet, and it allows Mage to get some stronger cards and expansions to have a stronger expansion tied identity rather than...
Or like, this spell has a 5 or 10% chance to hit your own face, to not hit the right target.
That kind of reminds me, when you said chance, that kind of reminded me of what some of the shaman... At the very least, Lightning Storm, I think there's others that do that, where it's like...
2 or 3?
Oh yeah, Crackle does it too, where it's like 3 to 6.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Something that could also make sense.
Pyroblast deals between 6 and 12 for 10.
Yeah.
And Fireball can deal between 4 and 7.
Yeah.
That's good enough. Because then the average is 5.5.
Yeah.
That's good enough. If you ever do 5.5, I'm cool. 6, too much. For 4. 5, probably not good enough.
Also, that would, of course, make Mage a bit less reliable in its damage dealing. So that you can't be like, oh, if I play this spell, I win. It's like, if I play this spell, I might win.
Yeah, but I'm not guaranteed to.
Win next turn, you know? Yeah. You can always get that extra damage out of your hero power if you have the mana open to do it, which, of course, with Power Blast, you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
That's definitely an interesting idea.
Yeah, so that's I think that's how I would do it.
When we're talking about changes we wanted to see, this is less of a classic card, but it's something that kind of bugged me recently. Houndmaster Shaw. He's a Hound Master.
Yeah, he's a Hound Master.
Why does he affect all of your creatures, not just beasts?
Well, I mean, because he's the master, though. He's a Hound Master, right?
It just kind of bugged me.
He's a hunter.
There was one run-in that I had with a Token Shaman, but there's also... I also had faced a hunter before. It's like, you know, they give the Lich King's rush and shit. It's like, no.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't like Houndmaster Shaw the way he is. Just, you know, give him 2 extra health, make him only affect beasts. I'm cool with it.
No. Because that's what really puts him over the Tundra Rhino.
Well, yeah.
So, and he's a legend, so he's supposed to be good, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Something else that could bug you is, have you looked at a Goblin Bomb next to a Leper Gnome before?
I have actually thought of that comparison.
Because, no, but the problem is that the text is the exact same.
Yeah.
That's where it'll deal 1 damage to the enemy hero.
The Goblin Bomb deals 2, I believe, so does Leper Gnome, doesn't it?
Or 2? Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's the exact same text, definitely. So, but on a Leper Gnome, the text is different as it is on the Goblin Bomb.
Really?
Yeah, and on the Goblin Bomb is 2 lines, on the Leper Gnome is 3 lines.
Wow.
You gotta look at that.
That's bullshit.
I've seen that reminds
me of some other changes that I would like to see. Yasharaj. At the end of your turn, recruit a minion. Finja the Flying Ninja. Yeah. When this attacks and kills a minion, recruit 2 random Murlocs.
Yeah, it put the recruit everywhere. That's correct.
Until Evolution. Replace a minion, transform a minion into one that costs 1 more. Echo.
Yeah, exactly. Because they did that before, but then they didn't update the old ones. Yeah, that's
for Poisonous they did, for Lifesteal they did, for that one Warlock card that actually had it. And they just haven't retroactively introduced the Recruit and Echo stuff. Mm-hmm. The idea being that I've heard that they don't want to use it again, so they just want to keep it for one expansion. Okay, so when it rotates out, the keyword also rotates out. But I think that's bullshit.
That's weird.
I mean, you already have the keyword explaining thing on the side. Just keep the fucking keyword around.
Exactly. So might as well update those.
I would say update those cards. Also fix the fucking bug where when you disenchant cards, they still show up as new after you restart the game.
The collection, come on, man.
It's completely unrelated to gameplay, but just do it.
It's not necessarily game breaking, but that is true. Maybe we'll get some of that.
Small indie company.
Yeah, small indie company. Maybe it's like a top 50 company in the world or something crazy like that. Blizzard Entertainment. Anyway, you know what? I think we've gotten the point across. If you know any other cards that you want to go to the Hall of Fame, or want to bring back into standard, or want to change
one final thought. I would actually like to see some of the mechs that interact with spare parts, and then maybe get Torchlight as a legend or something. Right. Just like a small spare parts package, not the full thing. Right. Because you have a few slots open, just put that in. Okay. That adds your mech bases, as I said before. The mechs are more standard again, and the spare parts are just a nice little idea. Right. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. Continue. So, I think that's it for the Hearthstone discussion. Got any cards you want to go to the hall or change? Let us know in the comments and we'll have a discussion about that. We do need to, however, leave you on a high note.
And a bad musical pun.
With the song of the week. And what do you got for us?
Well, that is a good question.
It's a really good question.
There's of course a lot of songs that I could have picked.
But there's only one that you did pick.
But let's go with something that has a bit of a more provocative name.
Okay.
Genocide by Hammerfall.
Just Genocide.
Yeah, the song is just called Genocide.
Is that a provocative name?
I mean, the song is called Genocide.
Yeah.
Hey, I can have a sound bite for you if you want
to. There's a song.
I like genocide. There you go.
Okay, cool. There's a song called Little Hitler, I believe, by The Who or something.
Of course there is.
What's provocative names these days?
Yeah.
Speaking of Hitler, here. not really good transition at all. But my song of the week is "Leningrad" by Billy Joel. And this song's in the music share, man.
Yeah, I know.
You need to get that song and download it immediately. Because every day that you don't have that song in your playlist, your life is bad. You're missing out on something. That song is really, really good. I already predicted you're gonna like it less than me, but I love it because I mean it's historical. It's one of those songs, right?
Yes.
Historical background, references, everything. It tells a story of a person who grew up in Soviet Russia versus a person who grew up in the States United during the Cold War. And how they were kind of indoctrinated to hate each other and look at each other as monsters. And then after the Cold War, because it's essentially he's talking about himself, right? The story about the American guy, which they switch back and forth in telling their stories, that he's just telling his own story, Billy Joel, because that's exactly how he experienced it. And he's telling the story about how he went to Leningrad later, or to Soviet Russia, no longer the Soviet Union, but Russia, and met this dude. Victor, whose story is also told, and then like how he learned about his life story and how it was in Russia and all that. So it's great song. Probably the best Billy Joel song. Almost definitely my favorite. So yeah, a huge recommendation to everyone. Go listen to that if you're into history like me. Got the history references and songs, greatest thing that's ever existed. So thank you for checking that out. Also thank you for watching and leave your own songs of the week in a playlist.
Link in the description.
That is intended for that. And if it's a good one, we'll get back to talk about it. So, thank you for watching. Leave a like on the video. We're going to see you next time, JJ.
That's it?
That's it.